We are, as you know, spending the whole of today raising money for Global's Make Some Noise. It supports a wide range of charity, and most notably the ones that perhaps aren't household names, the ones that aren't rattling tins under your nose on an almost daily basis as you make your way up your local high street. The Michael Palin Centre for Stammering Children is a specialist centre for speech and language therapy for the treatment of stammering. It's a joint initiative run by Camden and Islington Council and the Charity Association for Research into Stammering in Childhood. And your interest, Michael, is very personal. Everyone, well, I suppose it's showing my age a bit when I say everyone, but most of us will remember your performance in A Fish Called Wanda, where of course you Ken, the character you played, had a vicious stammer, but your dad had one as well, which you drew on when you were playing that role, and obviously explains why you're so involved with this charity.
Yes, it was actually worked out rather well. I mean, my father stammered quite badly, and none of us in the family ever addressed the issue. We just didn't talk about it. There was nothing that could be done, so we kind of avoided trying to work out why it might have happened. And also, it just used to be difficult when I brought friends home and all that, and they heard his stammer for the first time. Then it was awkward, and then it was embarrassing. So I grew up with this thing feeling, if only something could have been done, if only I knew a bit more. Anyway, along comes John Cleese with a Fish Called Wanda, and he said, I want to make one of the main characters someone with a stammer, because it'd be rather good in a heist movie. He's the only one who has the information, and he can't get it out that quickly. Your dad had a stammer, and John had met him, and he said, tell me, what does a stammer sound like, and why does it appear? He just didn't want someone saying da 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 ba ba ba. So we discussed it, and I got the part of Ken. I played Ken.
Did Cleese make you audition for that?
No.
I was going to say, I got the part.
No, he's very nice about it. He said, it's only you and Robert De Niro in the frame. But afterwards, there was a considerable reaction.
Yes.
I mean, one or two people who were stammerers were rather sort of aggrieved that a stammerer should be mocked. But of course, in the film, it was a stammering character, one of the many characters who were in the film. He was actually the one in the end who killed his torturer by running over him and all that. So it had a sort of it had an attitude to it. But the great thing was, someone asked me and said, "Look, we'd like to get a special centre going where we treat stammering in children particularly. Would you be interested in helping out?" And I said, that's the best thing I've ever heard. I'd love to do that. Oh, yeah. I felt, well... And I...
Because you must get quite a lot of calls upon your...
Yes, but this was particular.
Yes.
As you say, it was personal. But also, the two people who came to me, I thought the plans they had, I thought the therapy that they were going to use sounded absolutely right. They were serious people. And so I gave my name to it, and I've never regretted it. I'm extremely proud of it, and it's done very well, actually.
Because it works. And is it the case that the younger you start helping people, the more success you're likely to have?
Yeah, I mean, stammering can begin as soon as people, as children, sort of start to speak. So, I mean, it can start very, very early.
Do we know why?
Do we know
how much do we know about it?
No, no one's exactly sure. There's some little something in the brain that doesn't click together. Or maybe it's some emotional thing. Part of the therapy that was developed at the Stammering Centre is involving the family, because it does involve family dynamics and all that, and how a stammer is treated by the rest of the family. But it does mean that if you can get it that early on, then you can help parents particularly manage their children's stammer. But in some cases it's very ingrained. It takes a long time for the stammer to work through. You never lose it completely. I mean, Ed Balls was the last Chancellor, had a stammer.
Yes, of course.
And I could hear him occasionally kind of zoom, in the same way that Churchill apparently had a bit of a stammer.
Didn't know that.
Started in his speeches, he got in the middle of flow.
So you can spot the tactics, the management tactics.
I can tell people who have problems like that, and we all do at certain times, times of great stress, you can't get the words out, so it's just one of these fundamental things that you have to deal with. And it's as far as charities go, there aren't many charities dealing with stammers. It's not considered a very popular charity particularly, but what I've seen of the people who've been treated and been at the centre, I'm incredibly moved by the work that's done, and particularly, how the parents are sort of suddenly relieved of this enormous anxiety once their children are helped.
It's primal in a way, the inability to communicate what you're feeling and what you're wanting, isn't it? It's why people have nightmares about not being able to articulate when they open their mouths.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, of course, and the misconception is that stammerers don't have anything to say, and of course they've got lots to say, usually far more to say than other people. They're very often very bright, they're very motivated, they're very, they want to be articulate, and to have all that and not be able to sort of hit the words, I think is something which is really kind of hurtful, really.
Of course, part of the reason why Action for Stammering Children is one of the charities that Global's Make Some Noise is supporting today. I'll remind you in a moment how you can make an immediate donation. Michael Palin is just with us for a couple more minutes. I suppose I would really like to ask you whether or not you feel your dad's life would have unfolded differently if he hadn't had a stammer.
I think it absolutely would. I'm absolutely sure of that. I look back now and I see that there were certain problems. He at work, he was quite well educated, been to Cambridge, he'd got a degree, he was an engineer, and he ended up, after the Depression, working in Sheffield in a steelworks. And I could see he wasn't really particularly happy in that environment, because it was quite a macho environment, everybody sort of trading jokes and all that sort of thing. And to not be able to sort of join in, I think must have been very, very difficult for him. And he had a good sense of humour, but humours are really, I think, you're trying to tell a joke and you've got a stammer, can be really, really difficult. On the other hand, I've met some of the children who are at the centre, and they have a wonderful sense of humour. Yes. That's the great thing. So I never go there feeling, oh gosh, this is very grim, what are we going to do? People who can't speak.
Who do they think you are when you go there? You've got your name above the door, and I mean, I'm 43, so you're a superstar to me. But if I was 13, I'm not quite sure that you'd have.
I don't know. No, you see me float around on television every now and then, very much or the Travels or something like that. I think they're probably briefed. say you recognise him. Don't call him John Cleese.
But it's an exciting day when you.
I love those days, and I particularly like it when there are courses and the parents are there as well. There's a lot of hard work, but there's just their spirit is just terrific. The children, it's not, they're such fun, and some of them dealing with quite bad stammers, but amongst themselves and with other stammerers there, I think is easier for them. But they are encouraged to go out and try and interact in society as well. I mean, some of the exercises just send them from the stammering centre round into the market to interview some people.
Really?
And it takes a bit of courage, that.
It sure
but
does.
Once they've done it, they've all got a...
And you see audible, visible improvement, which is the most gratifying thing.
Yes. Well, you just see more confidence, and you just have this feeling that my father had, that there was no way out. He was stuck with this for the rest of his life. The work the stammering centre do show that there is a way out, and you don't have to be stuck with it for the rest of your life.
Michael Palin, it's been an absolute pleasure. And as I mentioned before you came into the studio, thank you for being so nice to me when I was a pestering young gossip columnist who somehow got hold of your home phone number and used to ring you up regularly to get a line for the news editor about your attitude to asparagus or your favourite sandwich filling.
Those are the questions I like. Those are the easy ones. You ask me about politics, I'd be stuck.
Michael Palin, many thanks indeed.
I was also diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and this was in November 2014, and it was the start of university.
Hang on, that's only that's less than a year ago. Right, okay.
So it's almost coming up to a year now, but I was at university and I had to drop out because...